Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gauntlet calendar. My name is Mike, and I will be your GM for session. Are we on 6? Yes, yeah, we're on session 6. Sorry.
I think it was supposed to be 7, but we skipped one at the last minute.
Yep.
I think is what happened. Yeah.
I think that is it. I think that is correct. We are on session 6 of Against the Slave Lords, which is a module for originally written back in 1981 for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We are using old school essentials, so we're still kicking it old school. My name is Mike. My pronouns are he, him. I'll be your GM. A little bit about myself. I've been playing role-playing games for a very long time. In fact, I started in 1981, the year this adventure was published. Played a lot. I mostly played D&D in the 80s. I mostly played GURPS in the 90s. I mostly played D&D 3rd edition in the aughts, and I played a lot of Pathfinder in the teens until 2016 when I fell into a Dungeon World group, and it kind of broke my brain in a good way, and I mostly have been playing story games since then. Although the OSR has always been calling to me, so I'm running some OSR stuff. A little bit about the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is an online role-playing gaming community. We're also a podcast network. We also publish a mostly monthly gaming magazine, which is frankly very high quality. We put about 100 games a month on our calendar. It's free and open to anyone, although those who subscribe to the Patreon have advanced access to the calendar, so you can more easily get into games. So subscribing to the Patreon also gets you the Codex magazine. If you're interested in learning more about the Gauntlet, check us out online at gauntlet-rpg.com. Well, enough about me. Let's go around the table and introduce our players and the characters they're running. Let's go clockwise around as I have you on my screen. So, Jim, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, everybody. I'm Jim Crocker. I generally use he, him pronouns, but if you're using they, them more generically or generally, that is totally fine with me too. I run and play a whole lot of games on the Gauntlet. Mike and I played a whole bunch together. I'm very happy to say I was one of the people that nudged him to to at least take a look at Slave Lords when he was saying, what classic D&D module should I run? I said, I haven't played this in a while. And so I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much, Mike, for running this and holding the seat for me. I definitely appreciate it. I talk a lot about gaming online. Pretty much all my social media stuff is talking about role-playing games, indie games, OSR, this kind of thing. I owned a game store for many years, so I've got that in my background. I sell games at conventions when conventions happen. Kind of some of them are starting back up again, but it's tough to say, mostly with my friends from Indie Press Revolution. If you're interested in what I am doing out in the world talking about gaming, I'm on Twitter at Jim Likes Games, just like it sounds. I've got a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of tabletop actual play stuff. That is also called Jim Likes Games. And I just started as a podcaster with a show called Curmudgeons and Dragons, which they are editing and releasing my recap podcast, Just Played. We, in fact, our first Just Played episode just dropped last week. And so we're going to be doing more of those as we come out. So we do a couple episodes a week. If you want to talk and me kind of ramble a bit about D&D with a couple of younger folks who are also into it and just having fun, that is the place to check that out. Curmudgeons and Dragons is the name of that show. I'm really looking forward to this. My character, Zal, Zalalaz the Sporadic, is our magic user. And in classic OSR fashion, has to find hopefully creative uses for the very limited number of spells that they have access to. But we've been doing pretty good so far. So I feel like we're now in deep enough that we can get into real trouble with this particular adventure. We have bypassed enough of the guards and stuff that I feel like we're kind of in the heart of the beast and really looking forward to seeing what happens there. But Sal's still got a couple of spells on a scroll, got my ring of spell storing, mostly kind of hanging around and back behind the other two folks that are about to introduce themselves. So
Jim, I do want to follow. I'll probably do this offline. I do want to follow up with you on your podcast because that sounds pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Harry, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Harry, he, him pronouns. Been with the Gauntlet a few months. Longtime D&D player from back in the mid 80s, so almost as long. And loving the story games, but I'll play D&D anytime, anywhere, basically. So it's cool. I'm playing Clintock Stump Jumper. He's a halfling multi-class cleric thief. Which follower of Brando Barris, who's the halfling god of adventure, which reads thievery, but really, it's all about being, adventurous and rascally. That's it, even what their titles are spelled out like, which is pretty strange. And he's been trying to be a thief, but it's OSR, so low percentage rolls at early levels. So it's like 1 in 4 chance every door, something like that. But we're not dead yet, so that's a good sign.
Thanks, Harry. And Tim, would you say a few words about yourself?
Yep. Hi, my name's Tim. Pronouns he, him. Been playing role-playing games since the aughts. And yeah, I am very happy to be playing games with the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is great. Check it out. I am playing Calf, a fighter, kind of a self-assured, trusts his sword hand, straight ahead fighter type in the mold of a Conan, So yeah, it's been a lot of fun and looking forward to the session.
Well, fantastic. So cool. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. So I'm just going to talk real quickly about safety tools in that because this is our 6th session that we've been playing together. So we are familiar with the safety tools, but just for anyone who is listening, we're playing with a layered approach with 3 different safety tools. The first one is called the open door policy, which basically means we can all come and go as we please. If we need to leave, go ahead and leave. That's all about your own personal physical comfort. The second tool we are playing with is a proactive tool called Lines and Veils, where we have called out a list of subjects that we either don't want to deal with at all, or that we only want to deal with under very limited circumstances. So I have a list of various topics that I now have on a floating on a stick note on the top of my screen, so I'll always have them in front of me. So these are things that are just not going to happen in the game, which are lines. Veils are things that we can acknowledge that might happen in the game, but aren't going to happen on camera. And I got a few things that we want to have a brief out-of-character discussion for before we introduce them. Those are our lines and veils. And finally, we have a reactive safety tool we're using called the X card. That you can invoke anytime that something is happening at the game table, whether that's in-game from your character's perspective or out of game in terms of like interplayer interactions that's making you uncomfortable or that you just don't want to deal with or is taking the story in a direction you don't want to go in. Invoke the X card. You just say X card. You can even just say, hey, I don't. We need to pause here, and that's what the X card does. We'll pause the game. We'll have an out-of-character discussion about what's going on, what we need to change, and how we should change it, and then we'll make those changes, and we'll get right back in. That's safety tool. That's the rapid-fire safety tools. Any questions before we go on? Awesome. So, quick recap. We are currently in Dungeon Module A2, Secret of the Slavers Stockade. This is our 3rd session in this particular adventure. So the player characters originally were hired by the local lords to finally do something about these marauding pirates and slavers that have been going up and down the coast, attacking coastal cities, capturing people, hauling them off in chains and taking them to God's know where. Instead of simply amassing a massive army or a massive navy and going at them, they decided to use stealth and hired a bunch of bands of adventurers to go into the ruined city of Highport, which is where their spies had learned the slavers were operating out of. Your group had discovered that the slavers were operating out of a destroyed temple of Hieronius, which had been rededicated to the Orcish god Grumpsh, and that contrary to this being the headquarters for the slavers, you discovered that that was merely a collection point, and you found a map and caravan routes that the slavers were taking their captives up into the Drachenschrab Hills to a fortress that they had constructed. And you brought that information back to the, you were told, good job, you were rewarded, and then you were also rewarded with another job, which was follow up on the leads that you uncovered. So you traveled overland, posing as, if asked, I believe you were posing as people who were interested in, purchasing the wares of the slavers. But you didn't really encounter too much trouble on the road. You found the fortress, which is a wooden stockade, which is built upon a much older stone fortress that had mostly fallen into ruin. But the wooden structure has been built. It looks like it's probably a few years old at this point. It is well guarded. There are many guards on the perimeter. So it's raised up on a hill. There's a defensive dry moat between the surrounding land and the earthen rampart. Then the stone building is built on top of that, and then the wooden structure is built on top of the stone structure. You were spying this thing from afar, from a nearby hilltop, to try to get an idea, when in your reconnaissance you came across an escaped captive who went by the name of Wilton, who told you that he had escaped just a few hours before, and that his escape route was relatively unguarded, and suggested that might be a good way in. Basically, he snuck out to the outer gatehouse, went up through one of the towers that seemed mostly abandoned, tied a makeshift rope to a bar on a window, slipped through, and then slid down the rope, and said that just the way the lines of sight were, the guards really couldn't see approaching in that direction. So you basically went in the same way. So you made it through so you snuck in that way. You made it through the main, through the outer courtyard, through the gatehouse, which you got through by climbing up to the third story of one of the towers, surprising a group of guards under the cloak of a silence spell. So you killed the guards, locked the door, and then went out the opposite window. I'm sorry, you went out through you went out through a trap door in the floor, which led to basically the office of the captain of the watch, who you killed. You locked the door from the inside, so hopefully you will have some time. You then went down another trapdoor into the stables, where you convinced the Hobgoblin stable hands that you were the captain of the guard, and you sent them off. You sent them scurrying off to find stuff. While they were gone, the rest of you crept across the parade ground, through an open garden, and into the main structure. So I'm going to share my screen for our viewers at home. So we are here in the, so this is the stockade. This is where you came in. This is where you came in, through the gatehouse, through the parade ground. This section, that's a 3-story tall tower. You went in through the 3rd story and then down out through the stables. You then went through this garden area, getting by some carnivorous apes that lived in a tree by basically bribing them with food. You then managed to enter the main building. I'm going to retcon a little bit here. You explored. I'm going to retcon and say you explored this section to find just like a bunch of abandoned rooms, haven't been used in years. In this room, you encountered. You thought it was a ghost, but it turned out to just be stuff that made it look like there was a ghost there. You are here. I'm using this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this red dot just to indicate where the party is on the map. So you made it to here, and you disabled a rather elaborate trap. You opened the door, and basically a taxidermy bear on a little wagon was supposed to come down a ramp. And while it came down the ramp, it like made this kind of mechanical growling sound, which was supposed to scare whoever opened the door, who would go backward. And when the bear went over a pressure plate on the floor, a pit trap was supposed to open that was supposed to trap anybody inside, and also like raise some alarm bells for the inhabitants to come and figure out who the intruders were. But you disabled the trap, and you have now positioned the bear in front of the main doors, like standing there, like looking really scary, to startle anybody who comes in. And that is where we are. I'm going to stop the share here. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. We have currently we have 2 NPCs of the party. We have Barun, who is a dwarven gladiator, who was formerly enslaved himself, but the rest of you liberated him in the previous adventure. Barun's player can't be with us tonight, but we're bringing his character along. We also have the acrobat Topaz with you. Topaz was the player character for a player that has unfortunately had to resign from the game, so we're bringing Topaz along for now. Not sure how much longer Topaz is going to be with us. We'll see what happens. This is OSR after all. And okay, and that is where we are. Any questions before we actually begin?
Real quick, I just want to check it and see, has anybody been hit? What's everybody's hit points at?
I'm good. I've been hanging out in the back. So, oh wait, or did I take a hit last time? Now I gotta try it. Now I gotta actually look at it. I think I might have got hit last time. This is me not having any idea where to find my hit points on this character sheet. Oh, you know what? I'm down 2. My max is 12. I've only got 10 right now. I've lost 1/6 of my hit points.
Yes. Yes, low-level magic users in Old School Essentials.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've got 1 healing potion that I'm going to give to Barun, because he's like down 6 and he's our frontline fighter. And I want to make sure that as we get into the meat of the adventure here, that they're up at max. And then I'll use my spells for emergency purposes.
Yeah, I'll walk around bruised for now. I think that's okay. I have a healing potion of my own. I think if anything, like if it gets too hairy, I can just do I, or maybe I don't anymore.
I'm gonna roll the d6 there real quick. 6, so he's back up to full, and I'll make that mark on his sheet.
Oh, I don't.
Yep,
okay.
It's d6 plus 1. Oh, stepping off camera for just a moment to get a couple more books from my bookshelf.
I'm gonna not get hit. That's what I'm gonna do.
Because I have two new books in my library. I have the Old School Essentials, Advanced Fantasy,
Sweet.
Player's Tome and Referee's Tome,
Excellent.
which under the Referee's Tome, it's got Old School Essentials versions of basically all of the magic items from the AD&D First Edition
Oh, that's
Dungeon
nice.
Master's
That's
Guide.
super cool.
So it's going to make it. That's actually going to make it a lot easier since this is an AD&D module, and I've had to like switch out magic items for stuff that was from the BX edition. So I'll be able to just use them straight now. So that'll make my life a little easier. Of course, getting these two books is why I did not back the current Old School Essentials box set edition, because it's going to it has basically the same content in a different format.
They're fine. They made their they successfully funded. So
no, and if I really want the OSC GM screen, I'll just buy that, because I'm sure they'll be selling that as a separate product at some point. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that I've got some new toys to play with. So Baroon is healed back up, and let me see, where are we on the GM's map? We're going into a room. So you open that door beyond. That is room 17. Okay, well, I already read you the box text, which was about the bear that was rolling down the ramp. What is in the room itself? Okay, here we are.
another
room beyond
fireplace, clearly.
Yep. The room beyond the door appears to have once been in. The room beyond this door appears to have once been in a. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a typo here. So the room beyond this door, like which you can see because there is a wooden ramp that stretches about 15 feet into the room. So past the ramp is a crude wooden table, and a box have been placed near the center of the room to serve as a desk. Several casks stand around the room, as does an old leather chest. There's a fireplace on the east side of the room with wood piled beside it. There are doors to the north and south. The door to the south has light shining from beneath it. The room is otherwise dark.
As a thief, I'm definitely going to go over and check the chest for traps, because it's what you do. 25%.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's one other thing is there is a large lever sticking out of the wall, and Baroon just takes one look at it and says, "Oh yeah, that's what resets the stone pit trap in the other room."
Mhm.
So you are checking out the chest. Sorry, just okay. I'm not going to bother rolling. The chest is empty and unlocked. It is unlocked and empty. Yeah, so and again, there's that box on the floor that we used to prop up. There's a box on the floor that we used to prop up the wood that was used as the wood that was used as the ramp. I'm going to say the casks. I'm going to say you check out the casks. The casks are also empty. And there's a pile of wood beside the fireplace. What
Are
do
we
you
able
do?
to find where the pressure plate that would have operated the trapdoor was?
Yes, you are able to find that plate. It's kind of off to the it's kind of like off to the side. But yeah, the way the roller was positioned, then yeah, it would have rolled over that, and that would have triggered the trap. Looks like it's deliberately. It looks like it's deliberately here this side. Your guess is, like Barun kind of explains it. Your guess is that this was a defensive thing, that if intruders breached the front door, people would be behind this door, perhaps looking at a peephole, and as they approached, they'd pull the lever, which would cause them to fall down that pit.
And is there? I might just check the box that's propping up the lamp. As long as we're poking around, looking and stuff, propping up the ramp.
So yeah, there's a underneath the box there is a leather sack.
All right, I'll look inside the sack.
You pick it up and it clinks because it contains 50 gold pieces.
Nice.
I will go ahead and add that to our treasure list.
Useful for trying to get people to switch allegiances, right, Zal?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. No. That's I would rather spend coin than blood if we can possibly avoid it.
The last fireplace that we found had something stuffed up there. Maybe should we poke around in there first too?
I shrug, like no reason not to. Make a be my guest gesture.
Yeah, I might stick my head in the fireplace, assuming there's not a fire burning there. No, the
There is no fire burning in there at the moment. It's just looks like no one's swept the ashes in quite a while.
Okay.
But yeah, looking up doesn't look like there's anything up there.
And kind of I'll just sort of like point at Clintock, point at the door, and make a like cut my ear over my hand over my ear.
The door with the light coming out from under it. I'll check it for traps first and then listen at the door.
Okay. Sorry, this is kind of a complex room. I just want to make sure I understand how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, listening at the door. You've got a what? 1 in 3. You've got a 1 in 3 on 6 chance.
Yep.
You do not hear anything on the other side of the door.
Nobody's moving around over there. At least I don't hear anything. So do we want to do the fighters rush in, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm okay with going in first.
I'm going to say it does not appear to be trapped. I'm sorry, it does not appear to be locked.
Okay. So yeah, I'll do the same thing, which is I open every door, I check for traps, but I'm doing it just so the fighters can go through.
Got it. What's your percent? What's your find traps percent?
25.
Okay.
1 and 4.
Yep.
2 and 8.
Okay, so you're checking for traps, and trying to think how you would do this you would see this as a halfling. I'm going to toss this to you. I'm going to tell you what the trap is, and I'm going to ask you to tell me how you were able to detect it.
Okay.
So the trap that you found is basically it's like it's like the bell on the door of a merchant that tells you that you've come in when you like basically you open the door. Hanging from the ceiling, a couple of inches behind the door, are like 3 pewter cups on strings, and when you open the door, it goes clank, clank, clank. It's going to go clank, 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 clank.
Okay.
You detected that. Please tell me how you. Please tell me how you detected it.
Okay. So as I'm sitting there listening to the door, and I'm looking at the lock area and checking the usual spots where there might be a pin in the lock that'll poke you, or a spike trap or something like a plate or something. But what he sees instead is there's a screw that's laying there on the floor that doesn't go to anything else in the what you call it to the door. It doesn't match the lock, the frame, or anything like that. And it's a tiny little, we'll say pewter or brass screw, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's out of place. There's probably something attached to this door somewhere. I don't know what it does, but it's probably going to be set off as we go through it. So it's a warning. So I wouldn't necessarily know it's a bell or an alarm trap, or I just know that there's something there that's out of place.
Something there. So open the door slowly. Don't throw it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. So as you open the door slowly and you look up, you can see that there's a couple of strings. Like as you open the door, there's a couple of strings that are clearly attached to the ceiling that are being pushed by something with the door.
So now here's the bad part. Do you want me to try and remove it? I have the same chance of removing it as I do finding it. Or do you want to just go in and set the alarm off? Or at least I can try and cut the string and try and hold on to it if somebody gives me a boost.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I could prop Clintock up on my shoulders and stand in front of the door and have him do his little magic with his little halfling fingers up there.
See, this is not a complex trap, so it's going to be easier than find traps, because you know exactly what this is. It's just going to be a matter of like, can I hold the string and can I cut it and can I pull it over here without them making a big rattle? This is not this isn't going to be a find traps check. This is going to be something that I hope is going to be much easier. It's going to be a dex check.
Dex check.
And I think a failure is going to be you drop a couple of these and they make the same kind of alarm sound that they would have. Okay. I think if you just click on dex. There you go.
Yeah. I have to find that floating window or whatever underneath the other windows.
So tell us how you've disarmed this.
Okay, so I'm on the shoulders of Calf. It's not graceful looking at all or anything. Probably accidentally kicks you in the side of the head while bouncing up there. Oh, sorry about that. And cuts the string and holds onto it, and then he says, "Okay, move me to the side, and then slowly swing the door open, and then it's me and Calf kind of to the side while I'm holding it, and Baroon will go in first since he's the other fighter, and then I'll jump down once he's through."
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So now that you've got this, the door opens up to a corridor that's 10 feet wide and about 110 feet long. It's lit by several torches and wall brackets, spaced every 20 feet. Some distance down the hallway, there is an archway. And there's a door beyond the archway. The walls are all hung with paint. The walls are all hung with paintings now defaced. And the floor is covered by a ragged carpet that has been, let's just say it's a ragged carpet, and it looks like people don't really clean it because it's just covered with like muddy boot prints. Let me. Oh, and we've got a dwarf here, so let me do one other thing. Okay, so this corridor goes about 110 feet. What do you do?
I mean, creep down the hall, right?
Yeah.
Just keeping our eyes and ears alert.
I guess we should probably have a marching order of some sort.
I was just going to say, who's going first?
I think since the fighter Tim is here, so Cap would probably be first. I would vote to put Barun second, put the mage third, and then I'll take up rear guard.
Mm-hmm.
And Topaz will be the actual rear guard. So
Yeah.
Topaz is going to live.
And I think we had established that I've got my lantern, which I can open and close as needed when we need light or not light. And, and when we need light, I just open it and I kind of hold it behind them so that the two men at arms have light behind them so that they can see ahead to what's going on.
Okay. So
I'm wondering, Mike, sorry to interrupt. I'm wondering, do we want to like gently tap the carpet a little bit as we go to see like if there's any like hollow sound as of like a door underneath perhaps, or maybe like just look at the paintings and see if any of them look like the frames have been handled. Check behind them. I don't know. Just genre conventions here. Metagaming a bit.
Well, I mean, we know just from Dead Reckoning that the wall to our left is the exterior wall of the fort. So we don't need to worry about that. So perhaps kind of if we check to the right as we go, that might, even if it's just to just as we, so are these like paintings that are like hung on the wall?
Yeah, they're paintings that, they're like old, they're like old paintings that probably weren't done by the most skilled of artists, but they're
It's like they're worth anything, right?
No, they're not worth.
Okay.
They probably weren't worth a whole lot, but they've since been improved by the like people who like
The
painted stuff or
Hobgoblins,
like
sure.
thrown stuff on it, and
Giving
like
them
drawn
tusks
drawn
and
mustache
stuff. Yeah.
drawn
okay.
tusks and mustaches on them, and they're worthless now.
It can't hurt to, as we walk by, just kind of like press a dagger up against one edge of the frame and just kind of give it a little slide just to see if there's anything behind it or anything like that as we walk along. Does that make sense?
Yep, sure does.
Yeah, cool.
And so so basically you're like tapping along, trying to look for like hollow and whatnot. And Zal. As you were kind of like at one point, let me just see what this looks like. Just a moment. You found something. I just want to make sure I'm describing it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you're tapping along, and the others were, I think the others were probably like concentrating on the floor. You were kind of looking at this.
Yeah.
you're kind of like looking at this one painting, like trying to determine if like, yeah, the painting's values, but is that frame worth something maybe?
Yes. Yes.
You,
Is it merely painted gold or is it actually gold leaf? Yeah.
it's just gold. It's just gold paint,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But you like. I'm just gonna say. You pick up the painting, you look at the behind it, and as you were looking behind it, and you put it back, it makes a thump on the wall, but that thump sounds a lot more hollow than it should.
Hold, my friends. And I will call Clintock over, and I will just take my dagger and just kind of tap along the wall, and it goes tunk, 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 whoomp, whoomp, whoomp.
Good eye.
Raise my eyebrows speculatively.
Baru, Master Dwarf.
Yep,
Come over as well. Take a look at this masonry.
It's a good old fashioned secret door. Because again, this most the exterior wall is the stone wall, but but you're in the stockade, so most of this is made of wood. And yeah, this is just it's just a straight up secret door. It's you find the catch.
Check for traps on that one.
You find the catch, and it looks like it'll open inward and swing, and it's just a door that's designed to make it look like it's just designed to look like it's not really there. You're checking for traps?
Oh yeah. Secret doors always, actually any door, anywhere.
Doing the genre conventions. You do not find any traps on this door.
Okay. But you said that we did find how to activate
We did find the catch. Yeah, it's
okay,
now
cool.
that you're looking at it, it's pretty simple. It's the catch is designed to look like a knot hole in one of these boards.
Right. Right, tell me when you're ready. Start to put my hand towards the knot hole.
Are y'all ready to open it and see what is behind?
Yep.
Okay. So this secret door opens up into a narrow corridor that heads south.
Oh my God, please tell me that as we walk south, we can see that there are little peepholes like where they can look through the eyes of the other paintings on the wall. Yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you, Gary
100%.
Gygax. Awesome.
100%. Yeah, it's a narrow corridor. This was only 5 feet wide.
Say, yeah.
And I'm just gonna say you do
crawl space
hear
kind of thing. Yeah.
You do hear coming from that corridor. You do hear the sound of I'm just gonna say you hear the sound of hobgoblins talking. They're in Hobgoblin. It's a little distant, but they don't seem to be under any peril, or they don't seem to be aware that there are any intruders. So are you gonna go down the secret corridor, or are you gonna stay in the main one?
Oh, secret corridor, I should think.
Definitely. I don't want any hobgoblins peeping at me through portraits.
And yeah, there's some light that's come. There's a little bit of. This part of the hallway is not. There's no torches here. You are getting some light from the far end, and it does open up into a room. I'm just gonna reveal the room. So you're in darkness, and there's light coming. You're in darkness, and there is light coming up from the south. Light coming from down here, and that's also where you hear the sound of the hobgoblins. What is your plan of action?
I mean, I could put on my old elven cloak and boots.
Yeah.
And sneak up there and just at least see if I can have a look in. I don't know if, like, fictionally, if I'm not even necessarily going in there, I've got my cloak and boots and I'm
You
just
kind of
peeking
peer
around the corner.
Yeah,
that's sort
for
of what
sure.
I'm thinking.
Sure, love it. Okay. So now they get closer and you look into the room. This room is a barracks with wooden beds and straw mats. There's a table with six stools around it. On the table are the remains of a meal: dirty tin plates covered with grease, a few crusts of bread, a pot with some congealed stew, and wooden cups with weak ale. There's some bugs crawling around the plates, also in the room, and that's that was the dressing. That was the set dressing. So also in the room are 4 hobgoblins, but it's kind of weird. 3 of the hobgoblins, it looks, I mean, are these hobgoblins going to a costume party? 3 of them are, 3 of them are like wrapped in bandages as if they were a mummy. And the others, and the other one, is just dressed in normal guard attire.
Do you mean like entirely wrapped in bandages, like head to toe, where we can't see their skin?
Yeah,
or
kind
like-
of, and not fully head to toe, but yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like they're, kind of like they kind of have a, it's almost like it's a, I mean, it's almost like it's a costume party that they're like they dressed up like mummies. They're like wrapped up with like white bandages and like dirty white bandages like on their arms and around their bodies, and they not on their heads, but you do notice, I'm going to say that you notice like lying next to like kind of like lying on the floor. Oh yeah, and there's a oh yeah, there's a what am I looking at here? Yeah, there's one more part of the room that you can see now that you're closer. Like in this little alcove on the opposite side, yeah, there's a couple of basically like masks that you could put on that again are adorned like wrapped up with bandages, so that they could basically pick up this big mask and put it over their head, and they more or less look like a mummy.
All right. I mean, I'll creep back down the passage toward my friends and let them know this strange sight that I've seen. This is a stumper for me, boy. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of what's going on.
It may be meant to intimidate their captives. Perhaps they presume that they would normally know when someone is coming. If we did not use subterfuge to approach them, and we had opened the door to this room and they'd had time to know that we were on the way, we might have been quite terrified if we'd opened the door and thought we were confronting through powerful undead as opposed to simply hobgoblins in disguise.
That goes into my top 3 of weirdest behaviors in humanoids I've encountered. Very odd.
What are you going to do, gentlemen?
Gosh, I don't suppose we have anything on hand that we could use to just waltz into the room as if we'd replicated, their, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, it's hard to make yourself look like a hobgoblin, but maybe you could make yourself look like a hobgoblin dressed as a mummy. Of course, they might not go for that either.
If
Oh.
you get a
You
hold
got
of
the
those
commander. You got the
masks.
commander's belt buckle.
Well, gosh, I suppose I always could try that again. You don't want to draw from the well too
Perhaps,
often.
perhaps a moment. Give me a moment, I say. And let me make sure. Let me just actually pop open my rulebook here and make sure I know what I've got. Oh, actually, I may have it. I have it listed here. Yeah. Okay. So from where I am, all I need to do is to be within 60 feet of them and to have less than 2 feet of stone or a 1-inch sheet of lead separating us. And I can cast, press 2 hands to either of my temples, close my eyes, mutter a few magic words, and cast ESP so that I can pick up the thoughts of the surface thoughts of these goblins as they are, or hobgoblins as they're doing their thing. Now, let me see what. Let me make sure.
ESP.
Let me look it up just to make sure I know what's going on. Fantasy player rules tome.
Okay.
Wizard spells. Sorry, magic user spells.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, I got it. It's on page. Yep, it's on page 81 of the Classic Fantasy Rules tome.
Yep. Yeah, second level wizard spell. So duration 12 turns, 60 feet. Grants me the ability to perceive and understand the thoughts of other living creatures. If I focus for 1 turn, I can pick up thoughts. The caster must focus their concentration in direction for 1 turn. After this turn, the thoughts of all creatures within range in that direction can be perceived. You know what? I don't feel like us sitting here for 10 minutes for me to.
I was gonna say that's gonna take 10.
Yeah,
it's gonna take 10 minutes.
No, that's okay. So I'm not gonna mess around with that. We'll save that until we're convinced we need it. The focus for a turn thing is kind of bogus. I didn't read that
Yeah,
when I took the spell, but that's okay.
I was gonna say that is kind of bogus, but
it'll come in handy at some point. So, and I look at them and I say, is there a compelling reason not to simply ambush them?
I mean, other than the noise it might make, I think they'd be able to, any kind of deadly combat might be heard in the adjoining rooms. But
But if we successfully slay them, then any of us that are roughly the same size as the hobgoblins could wrap ourselves similarly, place the masks on, and be indistinguishable from them.
that's true. Maybe that is our best shot.
So are you gonna so basically how long are you gonna basically want to spy on them, and who here speaks hobgoblin? Because that's the language, or who here speaks goblin, because that's the language they're speaking. I'm pretty sure someone does.
Yeah, Baroon speaks goblin.
So Baroon listens to what they're saying, and
we're not going to spend a lot of time. Less than 10 minutes.
I'm thinking, I'm thinking maybe a minute or two.
Yes, exactly.
Because you don't want to hang out here too long, or you risk discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if we can pick up a snippet of conversation, then hell yeah.
Baroon says, the ones in the bandages are complaining about this cockamamie idea. And they fail to see why this clever idea is particularly clever.
How ironic that that is the last thought that they will have.
Yeah, I'm thinking just bum rush them and try
Yep.
and burn them down.
Yep, slip into the room and get that, hopefully have that surprise round.
Okay. I'm just going to say that since you found the secret door and it does say that they are not expecting an attack from that direction. And they're distracted and they're talking and and at least Calf has that cloak of Elvenkind or the cloak and boots of Elvenkind. I'm going to say that, yeah, you surprise them. I think that makes I think that's most fictionally appropriate, and B, I think that's, I think that's the most fun. So let's do that. So there are 4 hobgoblins in this room. They are unprepared for a bunch of humans or a bunch of adventurers to come charging at them from their from the spy corridor. So let's go. Let me refer to the encounter sequence. So first we have surprise. They are indeed surprised. So first, is anyone casting a spell?
You know, we've
Right.
got the drop on them, so I think I'm gonna hold off.
Okay. Is anyone firing? Is anyone going to be firing? Okay, so I'm going to say, yeah, you can basically describe how this. So, if anyone is going to like get close and do some missile fire, I mean, first there's movement for those of you who want to move into the room, you move into the room. And yeah, anyone who wants to engage in melee, you can like immediately get into melee range without, you are absolutely surprising these completely dumbfounded hobgoblins. Is anyone doing missile fire?
Yes.
Yeah, Zal's staying back and throwing daggers from behind the guys in armor.
So I'm
Let's
going to shoot one of them that is not engaged in melee, and hopefully the wizard will get the other one that's not engaged in melee. You want to roll first?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to say
go
that
ahead.
the 3 that are dressed in mummies are probably closer. They're like in the table that's kind of, I'm going to say the table is basically like where this grid intersection is. And the one who is not dressed like a mummy is closer to this like corridor that goes down to that short little alcove that goes to the door. So you're going to have to get through the 3 dressed like mummies before you can get to the other one.
Oh, you know what? Then I will cast a spell. Is what I will do.
Okay.
And what I am going to do is, I will use from my ring of spell storing. I will use the web that I have stored in my ring of spell storing, and I will throw it up on that guy in back to hold him up to keep him from getting away.
Okay.
He's standing up, he's armed, he's not sitting at the table bitching like the others are. So when we come out, first thing is, bibbity babbity boom, and he's, in that 10-foot by 10-foot cube of horrible sticky webs that, not just constrains him, but blocks the quarter if they holler and anybody else comes running. So
nice. Yeah. Nice.
That'll be my action. I've marked that off of my ring of spell storing.
Fantastic. Okay, that goes off.
Yeah, unless he's a giant, it takes some kind of crazy amount of time for him to get out of that unless it wears off, or we light it on fire. So there we go.
So yeah, that one hobgoblin is like, and I think that's what So Blorp, you've got a hobgoblin that's encased in a web. So he's out of the action for now.
Yeah, and it's 2d4 turns for him to break out of that.
So it sounds like Calf and Baroon are charging into melee. Is that my understanding? Okay. So Clintock, while they're charging, if you want to take a pot shot off.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot the one that they're not engaging melee. So there's like one free one. Let's see here, and it's within 50 feet. So
It is.
I finally, well, get master, but finally got my short bow to work with the punch of a button. No, so armor class 10. No.
Yeah, it's gonna miss, even though they're surprised. It looks like the looks like they got actual leather armor under those bandages.
Well, hopefully we'll win initiative.
Okay. Hey, Calf.
Yeah,
You're
I'm just
engaging
gonna
one in melee.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of slide around the corner with my elven cloak and boots, and then as soon as like the fireworks start with the web and stuff, and that's when I'm just right up to one of them and try and jab my sword.
Okay, go for it.
All right, that should hit.
Oh, that's a hit.
8 damage.
Okay, you take one out. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think just exactly that, right? I slink in. They have no idea we're there. Everything just starts all of a sudden. The guy doesn't even know what hit him. Just suddenly, there's just a sword, right through him.
Yeah. And with a with a look of shock, he looks at you with this like utter look of shock as he's like slides off and then he slides off the sword and like collapses in a heap.
I told you this was a terrible plan.
Cocker made me ideas.
Would someone like to roll for Baroon?
Sure, let's see. I got his sheet. And yeah, he's gonna use the magic weapon that he picked up. Let's see here. Press that. Submit. And nope.
Ooh. So I'm not a big fan of critical fumbles. I'm just gonna say, how did this hobgoblin dressed like a mummy? How did he completely anticipate your attack?
I think he ducked when he Baroon did a strike towards the upper part of his body, and he used a little bit too much force. So what you call it? Thinking maybe the axe slipped out of his hand or something and sailed away. So now he has to pull his hand blades, which he prefers anyways.
Okay. Oh yeah, Topaz is still with you. I forgot about Topaz. I guess Topaz will probably also be shooting.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want me to roll it?
That'd be great. Thanks.
Cool, I got it open here.
I have too many windows open already.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We got a short bow +1 arrows. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that should hit.
Yeah, you hit one squarely and it looks very severely wounded. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, Topaz has the whole acrobat thing. So like, I come through, Zal comes in and casts the spell, and Topaz does a thing where he just kind of like does a little like kind of tumble roll past Zal to kind of, squeeze through the spot. And he's still on one knee as he pops up with his little short bow and plunk and like hits the hobgoblin like right in the hip, like just in the like fleshy part of his leg, because he's still sitting, like he hasn't even stood up, sitting at the table there. And now he's got like an arrow like through the meaty part of his leg. And he's just, he's not gonna dance again. Let's just say that.
I think that is everyone. So now it is time to roll for initiative, since that was the surprise round. So I'm just going to roll open. I got a 4. Who wants to roll initiative for the party?
Tim, why don't you roll it? Harry and I both had extra rolls last round.
All right. Looks
Okay.
like they're going
Looks
first.
like the
I would
monster.
agree.
Looks like the monsters go. So, the hobgoblin that's like stuck in the web is just lets out this string of curses, and you don't have to speak hobgoblin to know that he is letting out a string of curses. And he's barking. He's also trying to bark orders at the others. So one of the goblins is just dead. The one with the arrow, the one who just took an arrow in the knee. What does he do? So he stands, so he stands up, like clutching his leg. He tries to like stagger back away from the two melee combatants, one of whom just killed his companion. And he takes a hand axe. He takes a hand axe that was just lying on the table, and he's going to throw it at. Rolling randomly, he is going to throw it at Calf.
Yeah, the one who killed his buddy. That makes sense.
Yep. And yeah, if you've got a shield, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, you see that thing coming a mile away, and it just bounces right off your shield. Which leaves a single other combatant left. I'm just the way I've got this in my mind. I think he's going to try to attack Baroon.
AC 0. So.
AC 0. Yeah, and 11's not going to hit AC 0. What's his hit dice? This one. Yeah. Yeah, he fumbles, and he does get a scimitar out and tries to get a slice at Baroon, but it skitters across Baroon, or Baroon easily deflects it with his hand blades. It is now your turn. Any spells being cast?
Nope.
Any missile fire?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
chucking a dagger.
Are you shooting at the one who took the arrow in the knee, or the other one?
Yeah, let me start by that. Yeah, the one that got the arrow through the knee. Zal pulls out his, lucky magic dagger and shing. Again, waits for that opening, calculates the trajectory, and flick. Let's see what happens here. I've only got the 1+1 dagger, but I may as well use it. Ranged. Yeah, no, that's probably not going to hit. That's a armor class 11.
Yeah, that's not going to hit. How does what does that look like?
Oh, like the goblin. This is the goblin with the hand axe, and he sees me lining up, and there's that flick of the wrist, and he reaches down to the table with his other hand and holds up one of the mummy masks, and chunk, the dagger hits the mummy mask right between the eyes, and then he just casts it aside, tries to scrambles for another hand axe to pick up to throw.
Love it. Clintock, are you still shooting?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's one MLA, and there's still the one that was shot before. That's all that's left. Okay.
Yep. There's only Well, and there's also the one stuck in the webs.
And I'm not worried about the web guy right now. So I'm gonna try and finish off this one that's already been shot, and let Calf kill the full one. So let's try this and see if it. No.
I'm just gonna say that shot's wild.
Yeah. Okay, I'm only down to 11 arrows, so I'm almost out.
I guess that brings us to melee. Calf, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'll go for the guy who's already been hit once.
Okay.
See if he seems to be stubborn. Okay, so hits armor class 7.
That's not quite going to do it. They are armor class 5.
All right.
What is? Give us a little description of what that looks like, of how this exchange goes, and how you're not able to.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could just build a little bit on Jim's fiction, if I may, and say that he's got that big mummy mask, which I'm somehow imagining as like big and puffy, almost like a mascot's mask would be, except like a mummy. Uses it to block the dagger, and then I think maybe as he's like swinging it around to toss it, it actually like hits my sword as it's coming in. Maybe just completely serendipitously even kind of knocks my blow to the side.
Love
Knocks
it.
me off balance a bit.
Yeah, because it would probably be like a big like Anubis face or something like that with a, yeah, like that kind of elaborate, crocodile head or something like that that's supposed to evoke, the kind of Egyptian motif. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Would someone like to say what Barun is doing?
I think he'll just use the hand blades on, I guess the one that hasn't been hit yet.
Yeah, the other guy.
Right.
Yeah, we can only pile on that one guy so
Okay,
many.
so much. Yeah. So let's see here. And accents.
There's our man.
So that's yeah, armor class -1. So 3
Okay.
points of damage.
Okay. Yeah. You get through his defenses. I'm gonna say. Yeah, I'm gonna say that Barun does a nice big does like this one big arcing hand, like attacks, with both of the hand blades, like parries like he had caught the scimitar, like pushes it aside, and then does a good swipe. The hobgoblin pulls back just in time, but gets like his cheek cut, and blood's kind of there's blood's coming out of this guy's face. But he's still up, and he's still well, we will see if they are still mad, because I think that's everybody. It is time for some morale. I can never remember. Do they want to roll high or low? Morale. Higher than their morale, they flee. That is not higher than their morale, so they continue fighting. I am going to say that the hobgoblin with the who got shot, still holding this, was still had the mask that's got Zal's dagger stuck into it. I am going to say that he pulls out the dagger, and that he pulls out Zal's dagger, because that's now the weapon at hand that he's got.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's still trying to stagger back, because he doesn't want to be in melee, because he's be at a pretty bad disadvantage. And I'm going to say he throws it at Calf, who's the guy in armor with a sword that's trying to kill him. The so he rolls a natural 1. So I'm going to say this is what happens. Basically the same thing, Calf. You easily deflect that. He throws this dagger. You easily deflect it with your shield. The dagger keeps flying up in an arc, and it lands right at Zal's feet. The other one who is fighting Barun. Again, a feeble attack that Barun is very easily able to parry. It is your turn, folks. What you gonna do?
Zal will pick that dagger back up and throw it back.
Throw it right back at him. Go for it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So let's see here. Well, that's me. The picture of the two of us just hurling this thing back and forth at each other is fantastic. Nope, still just armor class 8. I think this one, and this one just goes, I like just like 8 inches to the left of him, because I get, my arm gets knocked and all the, the bustling around it stuff.
I'm gonna say that dagger is now it's now sticking out of the wooden wall.
Yes, yep, makes sense to me. I've got regular ones. That's just, so.
I just thought that, like him rolling a natural one, it like basically handing it back to you, I think was
that's
perfect.
awesome. Yeah.
Clintock, are you still shooting?
Yep. I'm still gonna try and kill that one that's got an arrow in him already. So let's see here. Natural 20 for max damage.
Okay. You've taken him out. What does that look like?
Okay. Again, he just clears the space and he threads the arrow right between Barun and a calf, and it just straight in the eye of the hobgoblin, and he just falls what's called dead on the floor.
Love it. Okay, there is one left that's not stuck in a web. Calf. I think you're.
Yes, I will go for that one.
I was going to say, I think the guy you were fighting is now dead. He didn't take an arrow in the knee. He took an arrow in the brain. So
right, a little harder to recover from. Yeah, I'll go for the last guy, and that'll be a miss.
Yeah, he's a hobgoblin and not an orc, so he needs that to fight. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's just a pretty skilled fighter, and was able to even though he's at a bit of a disadvantage, he's just able to like dodge. He's just able to dodge your attacks. And finally, Barun.
Yeah, hopefully he'll end it here. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, that does it.
I think a wonderful display of
these guys only had 7 hit points each. So what has taken him out? What has taken this guy out look like?
I think the fact that he was able to step back from Calf's blow just put him right in the crosshairs for Calf, and he just does a kidney shot and it comes out the front of the hobgoblin.
Okay, so combat is over. You've taken out you've killed 3 hobgoblins, and you've got a 4th stuck in a web, who, now that he sees that you have like killed his companions, has gotten really quiet. Also, looking at the time, since we're now out of combat, I think this might be a good place to take our break. Let's take 10 minutes.
Perfect.
And we'll see you in 10.
Sounds good.
And we're back. So, yeah, you've got a hobgoblin who is trapped in a web. I'm going to say the web is in this square. So, or it's kind of like, half this square and half this square. So, that's your web is basically blocking off the access to that door that was beyond, although there is a door to the north. But yeah, this hobgoblin has gotten like really, really quiet. He is eyeing you with, let's say, if looks could kill, you'd all be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Barun's our goblinoid speaker, right? So,
yeah.
do we want to try and talk to him? I think.
Yes, I mean, tell him that we have that our fight's not with him; it's with his masters, and that if he simply points us in the general direction, we will gag him, we will bind him, and when we leave, presumably he'll eventually be able to free himself, or one of his companions will come along, and he should rethink who his masters are. Because if he thinks these people would have any qualms about enslaving hobgoblins, then he's a fool.
Are you like telling Baroon to say this, and Baroon is saying, and
Yeah.
Baroon is okay. He like, he looks at Baroon and he responds. He responds in Hobgoblin. Well, you clearly have me at grave disadvantage. I'm not even, like I'm completely immobile. And aside from I don't even have my sword with me. And sure enough, he's not wearing a sword belt. He does have a dagger on a belt, but he doesn't have a sword.
If you point us in the direction of the slave lords in this place, we'll be too busy with them to ever concern ourselves with you again. If we go in whatever direction you point us and do not find the slave lords, we'll then be compelled to come back and ask the question again in a less polite way.
Or just light the web on fire.
Well, I'm inferring all of that implying it. He has to infer it. I imply it.
He says, "Very well, very well." He points with his head as best he points best as he can, since he's all like stuck on the web. It's through that door to the north. Through that door to the north, you'll follow the corridor around, and you'll follow the corridor around, and you will eventually get to the people who are really in charge around here.
Excellent. So here's a question. When I roll to see how long it lasts, I mean, I know that as a player, but I presume my character would know that as well, right?
I'm going to say sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to say yeah.
Right,
You know how long,
based on conditions and whatever, and the
blah blah blah,
humidity and all that kind of shit.
I'm just going to say yeah. You know how long. I'm going to say yeah. Go ahead and roll it. You know it as a player, and your character knows roughly how long it's going to last.
Cool.
Too.
So let me roll it up and see what happens here. Oh, you know what? I don't have that programmed in. That's just a 2d4. So it's / roll.
It's /R space 2d4, or you can use the die roller like command.
Oh, that's right. It's got the thing above. So 6 rounds. It's going to last an hour, which I feel is sufficient for us to probably get done whatever we need to get done here. Yeah. Nod. Take some of those bandages they've been using to wrap themselves up, take a wad of them, boop, stuff them into his mouth so he can't yell. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, just one more question for our captain.
I pull the bandages out.
Yeah. Are there any traps between here and the slave lords? Because if I run into a trap, I'm going to come back myself and just light them on fire.
Going to be unhappy.
Well, yes, there's when you follow that, again, he gestures with the door to the north. Well, when you follow that corridor around, yeah, there's a covered pit.
Excellent.
Once you follow it around, you follow it around, and it's not long after the carpeting ends, he says.
Good goblin.
Excellent. So yeah, and then jam those bandages back in his mouth to keep him quiet. And eventually the web will wear off and he'll be freed, and but hopefully by then we'll have finished our business and be long gone, or at least far enough along that this single hobgoblin, who we've disarmed and removed all the weapons from the room and stuff like that, is not going to cause us any undue problems.
Yes.
Did you want to use the masks and bandages to do any type of disguise work or anything like that? It won't work for Clintock. He's a halfling.
And I squint at Kath and I say, you are about the size of a hobgoblin.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm already taking bandages off and starting to wrap them around now.
Excellent.
I've got a little bit of rope. I can. We can always play the Wookiee card. Tie a slip knot around my wrists. Not come along as a prisoner.
Nice. Yeah, I'll grab one of the big Anubis-looking headpiece and pop that on to polish off the look. And
Got it. I'm going to tell you, you can't see very well wearing this thing.
well, if push comes to shove, I'll take it off. But for now, maybe I can just, if I can see well enough to follow my companions, then we'll do that for now.
Okay, so you're gonna head off and follow the corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tapping on the floor, I guess. Yes.
Keeping an eye peeled for any pressure plates or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you open the door. There is a carpeted hallway that heads north. It is unlit. Oh, let me read the box text. This corridor is unlit and thickly carpeted. The hallway is quiet and shadows seem to muffle any sound the party makes. Faded blue drapes hug the walls to either side, and the carpet is a cheerless gray. As the party proceeds down the corridor, there's suddenly a frightened squeak at their feet, and a rat bolts across the hall and disappears into a hole in the wall. The drapes appear to be attached to the wall at both the ceiling and the floor, and at every 20 feet there's a break in them where a torch bracket is mounted on the wall, although there are no torches in the brackets. It is dark in here.
I've got our lantern.
So yeah, it goes north and then turns to the left.
Just proceed down the corridor.
Right, I think we're looking, he said it's after the carpet ends that we have to watch out for the trap, right?
Yeah, I think he said you go to the end of that corridor and then turn, and there's a pit there. Probably where that letter A is.
Yeah, the letter A is just telling you that you're in room 21A.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go.
And yeah, the carpet ends, and there is indeed a pit there. Because you follow along, and yeah, sure enough, once the carpet ends, there is a there is a covered pit. You're tapping on it.
It's like expensive deep pile carpet, expensive deep pile carpet, expensive deep pile carpet, cheap ass area rug. Wait a minute.
Pretty much. Yep, it's a cheap ass area rug, and as you probe it, yeah, it's looks like it's basically it's a covered pit trap. It's like the cheap ass area rug, and it looks like it's basically it looks like it's a rug that's like been tacked to the sides. The thing is that's weird here. This goes all the way across, 10 feet across, and it's so there's no ledge on the side of this pit trap. I mean, you pull up the rug and it's just sheer drop. It goes down to 20 feet, and you look down there and it's rusty spikes. Looking down there, shining your lantern down there, and like, sure enough, there's a skeleton down there.
Ooh, trope time. Rope of climbing, attach it to the ceiling, and I'm gonna shimmy down there to hook around the skeleton.
Going to poke around the skeleton.
See if there's anything there.
Yeah, so yeah, you head on down to you head on down to the floor, and once you're like, now that you've brought some light and can see down there, you're not gonna, the spikes aren't really any danger. You can step around them easily, and there's it smells, it smells vaguely of death down here. The skeleton is, I won't say crawling, but there are several cockroaches that are crawling over this thing.
Well, we know what those rats are eating for sure.
I mean, it's not fresh at all. It's it's fairly desiccated. You're guessing it's been down here for at least a year at this point. But yeah, it's got a few bits of leather. It's got a decayed bits of leather. It's got a few decayed bits of metal here and there that might have been like buckles and buckles and buttons and whatnot. But there is nothing of value down here.
I say a quick blessing for the failed venture that this poor fellow went through.
Yeah, it might have been one of the captives trying to escape.
Yeah. Give him a final send off with my holy symbol, which is my coin, and then shimmy back up the rope.
Okay. So how are you getting across? It's about 7 feet. Going to use the rope?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think we need a roll here. I will say that once you're going across the rope, you notice once you're on the other, now that you're on the other side of it, you probably notice while you're like climbing over, there are a pair of wires that are stretched across the hallway, that have been covered with lamp black, so that they're almost impossible to see. One's about 3 feet off the ground. One is about 5 feet off the ground, and they're like right at the edge. They're like right at the opposite edge of the pit. So it looks like those were there for people that saw the pit, decided to try to jump across. They'd hit the wires, and then you'd fall in the pit anyway.
That's pretty ingenious.
It's nasty business. Yeah.
I was going to say that's like almost straight out of Grimtooth's traps, frankly, but
yeah, we've had some pretty elaborate traps here. These slave lords seem to be very, for all their evilness, they seem to be rather.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of traps in this adventure. This is oh so old school, and so many of them make absolutely no logical sense whatsoever. But hey.
Well, for some of them, if you put them there, like if the presumption is to, ensnare their captives that are trying to escape, it's not all that necessarily outrageous.
I mean, the other thing that's like really illogical about the whole layout of this thing is how on earth. I mean, there's sections of this place that you really can't get to without going past traps that are damn near impossible to like get around. And I'm also not sure how on earth they get their captives to where they need to be, because again, you have to go through all of these like elaborate, all these elaborate little twisty rooms. It makes absolutely no logical sense. But hey, we're playing an old school module that was written 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention, because I forgot it was on the map, there was a door here. There's a door here that is slightly ajar.
So this would have been, we would have.
This would have been
progressed
before you got to the pit. Forgot to mention
mean-
it, but yeah, there was
Is there any noise or light coming from that area, or?
no to both.
I mean, crack the door open a little more and just kind of wave the lantern in the room behind it just to see what's going on.
Yeah, so yeah, you look into the room. And it's a large it's a large storeroom. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot in there. The room beyond is filled with open barrels, old leather chests, and pieces of boards and twine. There's a small fireplace opposite the door. There's the fireplace.
And I raise an eyebrow to Kaz and to Calf, and stand with the lantern next to the fireplace and kind of.
I think I'll pop the Anubis head off.
Probably wise.
And give Zal a little nod and peek up the fireplace.
The only thing that's notable about this fireplace is it's the flue is really wide, and it's and the chimney is actually fairly wide. This is unlike the other fireplaces you've encountered. This one is actually just barely wide enough for, I mean, you have to take your armor off, but this one's just barely big enough for a for a full-size human to climb up.
And certainly no problem for, say, a halfling-sized acrobat.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll definitely nod to Clintock and kind of, hey.
I mean,
How
does
about
this to me, this sounds like a job for Topaz, right?
Yeah, and it goes up.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, maybe this would be a
I mean,
Topaz.
he's our actual. I mean, he's a literal acrobat. This is the kind
He
of
is
thing.
a literal acrobat, yeah.
Yeah.
Topaz cracks his knuckles.
Mhm.
Looks up and starts climbing up the chimney. How long do you wait for Topaz to return?
Oh, I think we say to him, go to the top, take a quick look, and come right back down right away.
Got it. As a GM, I was just trying to think if this would be a good and mysterious way to exit the NPC, but
I hope not.
I think I'll tell him, all right, Topaz, if there's any danger up there, just yank on the rope 47 times. But if it's okay, then 48.
No, he comes down a couple of minutes later. And yeah, he says, yeah, this goes up onto the roof. I poked my head out, and it goes to the roof of this, this fortress. It's just that, there's still all those guards on the perimeter. Again, they weren't really looking this direction, but I would imagine if anyone made any noise, they would. And there's like a good dozen guards out there.
If we need to leave with alacrity and we don't want to go through the front door, this is perhaps a way we could do that.
That is true.
We do the thing where we have the rope of climbing, we set it up at an angle, and then we all go kind of zip line out of here if we need to. But I don't think we need to just yet. Well, or whatever, or it gets us to the wall and then we can go up and over.
Yeah,
It's
a
a
good old-
surprising
Depending
way
on the
to-
height, it may not be tall enough to actually, like the roof of this place may not be taller than the wall, but it's a different, it's a means of egress that they might not consider. So
Unexpected.
make a note of it. Yes.
That is true. That is true. Okay. So I'm going to say so after you explore that room, let's say you explored that room first, then you get through the pit, because I think that probably makes more logical sense.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Or retcon it.
and you get to
Oh, is that door also ajar?
that door is not ajar, but it is clearly a door. Leads to the north.
Any light from underneath?
No light.
I could probably just pop it open and do the same thing we did with the other room.
This
That's
door
not
is
great.
locked. This door is
Oh.
locked.
Oh my, how interesting. I will flip through the ring of keys I have. Oh, except we established that there are no keys for in here. They're all
Correct.
gatehouse keys.
They were all
that's
keys
right.
for the gatehouse and
Okay.
the curtain wall.
Yes, well, now we all look to Clintock.
Yeah, I'll make a go at it. I think it's the same thing.
What is your open locks?
Check. Oh no, I have 30% chance of open locks.
3 and 10.
Alas, you are not able to. This luck is beyond your is beyond your capability of opening. Why is that?
I don't have the right pick to reach the 4th or 5th tumbler up. My picks only go to 3.
Yeah, you are not able to. You are not able to pick the lock of this door. I mean, there are other ways to get past the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it worth bashing it down?
Well, put your shoulder to it and see if you can force it rather than us having to chop it down.
Yeah, I'll see if
Well,
can-
I think this is going to be bend bars and lift gates.
Yeah. Right.
How does that work in old school essentials?
So I have a 4 in 6 chance of opening a stuck door.
This isn't a stuck door. This is a locked door.
Oh, right. Good point. Then I have no idea. Maybe, I mean, it's straight. I mean, you tell me, GM. Strength check, maybe?
Yeah, hold on. I might be thinking of an I might be thinking of an AD&D thing. Here. I might be thinking of AD&D 1E that had bend bars and lift gates.
Well, then it's also a dungeon world thing, right?
Yeah, it's also a Dungeon World thing. That's where they got the
Yeah,
that's where they got that from.
We'd have to chop the door down if we want to get in there. It doesn't feel worth it to me to make all that noise.
Yeah, maybe not.
And alas, I don't have a knock spell prepared.
You're right back. I'm just going to check here. I'm just curious how it worked in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition.
Nice.
It's a percentile
think
based
it's
on
a
your
perc-
strength.
I think it's a percentile based on your strength.
Yeah.
I should have known, Mike, you'd have the proper text on hand.
I haven't cracked this book in years. Sure enough. Go ahead and roll percentile just for shits and giggles. Well, bend bars and lift gates.
I got an 18.
18. What is your strength?
16.
You got an 18 on percentile?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's good.
Right, yeah.
Nice. Not bad. Yeah, you forced this door open. Tell us how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I put my hand on the handle and put my shoulder into the door, and I just slowly increase the amount of pressure that I'm exerting, and you start to hear like the sound of wood kind of snapping and cracking, and then eventually it's just like the locking mechanism, the deadbolt, right? That's like through a wooden frame that actually like that bolt breaks through the door frame as the door slides into the other room.
Nice. So this is dark. Yeah, it's a dark room. There's no light in here, but you shine your light around. It's another storeroom, although this one is actually stocked. This room contains shelves filled with trade goods, as well as bales and chests of trade goods, filled with trade goods, as well as bales and chests of trade goods that are all stacked on the floor. So it's bolts of cloth, iron tools, iron pots, miscellaneous wooden utensils, glass jewelry, etc., etc. All totaled, this stuff is worth like 2,000 gold pieces, but it's gonna take. It would take like a, it's gonna take like a dozen people, like multiple trips to get all this out, and you'd need like two full wagons to cart it away. There's nothing that's immediately useful. This is all stuff that you would conceivably, trade for other stuff.
Yeah,
As the text says,
that's nice.
Yeah, as the text says, the total value of the trade goods is 2,000 gold pieces, but they are too bulky and heavy to be carried except by pack animals or in wagons.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I think I'll just, when we go out, I think I'll just want to kind of try to slide the door, kind of prop it back in place as much as I can to just make it look like it hadn't been opened.
So you head back down the corridor. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I revealed the wrong one. That's what I want to reveal. So yeah, there's a, so you continue to follow the corridor, and there is there is another door to the east. The corridor then like continues to the west, and it also ends in another door.
Yeah, that eastern room is most likely going to be, I think, guards or something, because that's the main one coming down. So probably want to just bypass that one.
Sure.
Do we want to listen there and see if
Well,
we can,
or yeah, or traps or something like that. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a listen just to check, but
I mean, I think moving towards the center of this place is it's clearly our destination.
I could take some of those really like big bulky trade goods and just carry them down the hall and kind of pile some stuff up.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
if you just put
lock the door.
a barrel full of nails in front of that door.
There you go.
Sure,
There's got to
you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
You can absolutely do that. Yeah, when you listen at the door, you don't hear anything on the other side.
Yeah, something that won't stop anybody, but that will delay them and we'll
Right.
know if they're trying to come through there.
Right.
Completely makes sense.
And also something we could move easily if we need to run out that way, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, perfect.
Yeah, something like heavy shit in a barrel is great, because all we would need to do is just tip the barrel over to get it out of the way and roll it from our side. But someone on the other side, if it's up against the door, it's gonna be real tough for them to. It's not gonna slide. So
Right.
That's true.
Right. If there's not a barrel full of those glass marbles, then I guess a barrel full of nails will do. So.
Yeah, trade goods.
Yeah, like iron pot barrel, like a barrel full of iron pots.
Yeah.
Okay, you have done that. There is another door to the west at the end of this corridor.
All you Clintock.
Give it the once over. Check for traps and listen for noise.
Okay. Okay. So you listen at the door. Let me roll. You do not hear anything on. You do not hear anything on the other side of the wall, but you do when you press your ear to the wall. You just feel the just an ever so slight vibration.
There's an odd buzzing, but it's not really a noise. It's more of a feeling.
Is there any light from under the door?
There is a little bit of light.
Should I just go in there with my mummy costume?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Definitely not a cockamamie idea at all. Not at all.
Yeah, the door is not locked.
All right, in I go.
And this is one of the weird set piece rooms. Okay. Beyond this door is an eerie sight. A large, long, terraced room. A narrow passage running through the center of the room with raised stone platforms set in a series of 3 large steps to either side and at both ends of the room. On these steps sit dozens of humans staring blankly into space while dark shadows curl about their forms. These people are bound to the walls with chains, but do not appear to be struggling at all. They also don't seem to notice you in the slightest. Scraps of torn clothing are tossed about the room, and there are cloaks and blankets hanging on the walls. It does not smell particularly good in this room.
Well, I'm going to take off my mummy helmet. I don't think I need to scare these people. And I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking I would want to approach one of them. What do you guys think?
There might be magic involved.
No one else in the room?
Well, I mean, there's dozens of humans that are like mostly sitting on these steps that are like just kind of like staring blankly into space.
Okay, but nobody like who's like nobody besides the people sitting staring blankly and the ones chained to the wall.
I'm going to say the only other one you see is across the room, by the door on the opposite wall, sitting on the floor next to the door, is a hobgoblin who's dressed in full armor. He's got a sword at his side. But he's sitting on the floor, also staring off into space.
Okay.
Who also doesn't seem to notice you in the slightest.
That is a little bit suspicious, isn't it?
I wonder if this might be the moment, since we don't appear to be under any threat, to step back, allow me to cast my spell that will let me read their thoughts, attune it, and then perhaps I can get some sense of what it is that they're thinking, what it is that is in their minds right now.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. What does casting the spell look like?
So like I said, I think it's I mutter a few words. I hold the tips of my fingers of either hands to my temple like this. I close my eyes. I speak a few magical phrase. Kind of like my forehead kind of glows for a moment, and then I just kind of close my eyes and I just concentrate. as I, kind of, and I think it's kind of like, it's like tuning in a radio, right? At first, my mind opens up and it's like a cacophony of voices, and I can hear, Calf saying, these bandages kind of itch, and I hear, Topaz, saying, I don't know about this, and I kind of like in a jumble, and then I kind of like one by one sort of tune them out. And the 10 minutes is being able to kind of tune it down so that I can actually focus on one person and see what's going on. And I've got a 60-foot range to this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like I just kind of step into the room, and I'm going to start with that hobgoblin. I'm going to kind of look across at that hobgoblin and kind of squint at him, and then focus on him and try to tune into his thoughts and see what he is thinking. I think so. Let me just make sure we know exactly what the bounds of this are. Grants the caster the ability to perceive and understand the thoughts of other living creatures. Focus for 1 turn. To pick up thoughts, the caster must focus their concentration in one direction for 1 turn. After this turn, the thoughts of all creatures within range in that direction can be perceived. So this is in the direction of the hobgoblin. If multiple creatures are within the range in the direction being focused on, their thoughts mingle into a confusing jungle. The caster must spend an additional turn to sort out one creature's thoughts. Caster understands the meaning of all thoughts, even if they do not share the creature's language, and the ability to perceive thoughts is obstructed by a thin layer of lead or by rock of 2 foot thickness or greater. And I think it sounds like I've got a clear line of sight to the goblin, right?
You do.
I can
You do have a line
so
of
I don't
sight.
need to worry about anybody else interfering with that. So I spend that, whatever, the 10 minutes to attune and filter out the other thoughts. And then I just kind of look at him and see, what is he thinking?
So what you're getting from him, the thoughts that you're getting from him are, and I think the way that I think if this were the movie, we'd like focus in on, we'd like close up of Zal, close up of the hobgoblin, closer up of like fill in the frame of Zal, fill in the frame of this hobgoblin's face, just Zal's eyes, just the hobgoblin's eyes. Then we're like going into the hobgoblin's mind, and what we see there is, what we see there is, you're like looking. It's like you're looking through the eyes of the hobgoblin, and he's like riding on a horse with like a net, and it's at night, and like he's part of a raiding party, and
I've seen Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, and he's just so they've attacked a human village at night, like woken a bunch of people, and like they're like capturing as many people as they can and like carrying them off into bondage, and that's what you see. It's basically, it sounds like you're not sure whether this is the hobgoblin's just like reliving something in his mind or is having a dream. You're not really sure.
Okay. But he seems completely unaware of it.
It's almost as if he's dreaming or is in some kind of a reverie.
So, and I don't know if this is, if this would make sense or is too subtle for the spell, but like, does it feel like a memory, or is there like, it doesn't sound like there's any like dream logic going on, like he's flying off of the horse or anything like that. It sounds like he's kind of, to the extent that it's a dream, it's a fairly literal dream where he's reliving something that he's done.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like whatever he's experienced, whatever thoughts he's experiencing, it's not in the here and now. It's like in the past, or he's just imagining.
And so I blink and I kind of my eyes sort of flicker open, unless you had something to add to that.
Well, I was just going to say, if you want to like focus in on a couple of the other humans, it's basically the same thing. What you're getting is they're either reliving memories. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are mundane. They're just like they're like in their own heads. They're like going through this kind of like reverie, and they're like not connected to the here and the now at all.
So I blink, my eyes flicker open, and I tell my friends that they all seem ensorcelled somehow, as if they are stuck in a memory. And in some of them, it's a happy memory. In some of them, it's a memory of fear. But in each of them, it's a very distinct memory of them. It's not generalized in remembering a specific thing, but the memory plays itself out and then begins anew, in almost as if it's they're stuck in it.
And as you were kind of like scanning around to try to like catch another, to try to like see if there's anything interesting,
Mm-hmm.
you very briefly catch you very briefly like touch the mind of something that is utterly completely alien.
So and that's probably one of those dark shadows, huh?
And yeah, it's like one of those shadows it's actually on the ceiling. That's when you notice it, and that's also when it notices you. And that's when and I think you like you snap out of your mind probe.
Mm-hmm.
As all of you are looking in the room, a shadowy, it looks almost like a manta ray, like drops off of the ceiling and flies in the air right at you. I think it is time for initiative.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I'm just going to roll open. I got a 4. Who would like to roll initiative?
I don't think I've ever won initiative. Someone else should do it.
Fire it up, Harry.
Hey.
Yay, you win. So this thing is flying at you. It basically, you the characters have probably never seen one, but it looks like a black manta ray that's flying through the air, coming straight at you.
So, like, how big is it? Is it just manta ray sized, or what's the?
It is pretty big. Let me. Let me see what it says. Yeah, this thing's pretty big. It's it's got a wingspan of about it's got a wingspan of like maybe 10 or 12 feet.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty big.
It's probably about that. Like it's probably that long, but it's got a it's like got a tail behind it, and its tail ends with its tail ends with this like big knobby mace-like protuberance, almost like an ankylosaurus. And and as it's like kind of like swims through the air at you, you see the glow of it, the malevolent glow of its red eyes.
Yeah, so this is a no kidding monster.
This is a no kidding monster.
I feel like since we've won initiative, I feel like this is the time for me to use my lightning bolt. What do you guys think of that? Like, this is not just like some guards that we're beating up on. This is a monster, like a monster that's hypnotized the whole room and is now swooping down on us. So, yeah, I'm gonna bolt it. As it detaches from the ceiling and flies down, I snap out my scroll, unfurl it, and say Shazam. And then you'll need to tell me what caster level that scroll is.
Yeah.
I think you need to be. I think it would have to be minimum 5, right? For lightning bolt, because it's a 3rd level spell.
Yeah, it's a 3rd level spell. I think it'd have to be 5th. Let me look up how lightning bolt works in.
It's a 60-foot 60-foot line. And whatever's in the line gets hit for a d6 per caster level. And if it hits a wall before the end of the 60 feet, it arcs back for however long
Okay.
is required. It needs. Yep. Range 180 feet. Powerful stroke of electrical energy, 60 feet long and 5 feet wide is conjured. Creatures caught the lightning bolt suffer d6 damage per level of the caster with a successful save versus spells indicating half. If it hits a solid barrier before its full length is reached, it is reflected and travels for any remaining distance of its full length in the direction of the caster.
Okay. So it doesn't carom like a pool ball. It just goes
No,
right back at the
It goes
caster.
right back at the caster. But
I'm going to
we're
say
in
it.
we're in a nice wide room.
Yep. You're in a nice wide
So,
room.
yeah.
You zap this thing. I am going to say that I'm going to say that this caster level for the scroll was 6th. So you got
Cool.
you got
So I'm gonna roll
66 damage.
66. All right.
It
So
it actually gets a saving throw.
it does. So that's 5d6. I'm going to roll one more. So it's going to do 22 points of damage,
Okay.
which is like, which is pretty good because that's it. When
That's
max
pretty
at
good.
36, so that's a
That's pretty
little
good.
over half. So
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, how many hit dice does this monster have? It has that many.
save versus spell,
Save
which is to say,
versus-
don't save versus spell, please.
Yep. Okay, he needed a 12 and I rolled an 11, so it takes full damage.
Nice. Shazam.
Nice.
I will cross that off of my scroll.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice. So that was spell casting. Who is shooting missiles at it?
Okay. So let's just be super clear. Like, it cooks it, but it's still coming.
It is still coming at.
Yeah. Okay.
You zotted it. You
Yeah,
zotted
okay,
it just
good.
good. It's. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say it. I'm gonna say it does that like a cartoon thing, as you know, you zap it and you like briefly see its bones.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then like smoke comes off of it, but and it's blasted back and like it swirls a little, but it swoops up and it keeps coming.
The fact that is what's happening now just absolutely tells me I made the right decision there. So yeah. Gentlemen, please.
Yeah, I'm definitely shooting it. How many feet away is it?
At this point, I'm gonna say it's like it is closing fast. I'm gonna say it's 30 feet away at this time.
Okay, cool. That's in short range for me. So.
But it'll
I mean,
on its
room's
turn
only
it'll
60 feet across. So yeah.
I'm gonna say it's 30 feet away, especially since it got blasted back by the lightning bolt. But it's fast enough. It'll be able to close to it'll close to melee, so it'll be in melee range with you on its turn.
Okay. All right. So I'll shoot it. Short bow. Yay. And ooh.
DC 20.
That
Oh,
hits -1 armor class.
-1. That is a hit.
Yeah, for 1 whole point of damage.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say, that arrow like just kind of like punches straight through, straight through like a little bit of its outer wing.
Yeah.
Anyone else doing a melee attack or doing a missile attack?
You want Topaz to shoot him?
That's probably a good idea.
I'll just roll a choice head here quick.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, that's gonna miss.
Yeah, it's gonna miss. I don't think Baroon even has a missile weapon. Okay, Kef, are you gonna try to
Yeah.
like do missile fire, or are you just gonna wait for it to close and go next round?
Oh, yeah, if missile fire is my only option for now, then that is what I will do. Would hit AC.
That would hit AC 6, which
Six, yeah.
You're shooting an arrow, was that?
Crossbow.
Crossbow. Okay. Yeah, your bolt actually strikes it, but it just kind of like bounces off of this creature's presumably rubbery hide.
Mm.
Just looking at Baroon's sheet, he can throw one of his hand blades.
Yep.
And he's got the battle axe to back it up, so
Yeah, chuck
might as
it.
well just chuck it.
Go for it.
Let's see here. No.
Nope.
Number past 5.
Nope. The hand blade goes again, bounces off this thing's rubbery hide and clatters onto the stone weird terrace things below. Okay, it is its turn. It is going to attack. Rolling randomly. It is going to attack Topaz.
AC 4.
AC 4. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty solid hit. What does this thing do for damage? Oh, and it's got 2 attacks.
Imagine it could probably bite and wail on somebody with that tail. Probably.
That's what it does. It bites. It does a bite, and then it also. So first it like. So it flies by and like does it flies up to Topaz and like does a quick like quickly flails upward and like swings with its mace-like tail, doing 3 points of damage with its tail. It then attacks. It then goes for a bite, and does successfully bite for another 5 points of damage.
So he's down to 6.
Okay. Let me check one other thing. This thing's got some special effects. I just want to make sure I know how this works. Oh, right. I forgot. Oh, that's how it works. Okay. So yeah, it does that. So first I'm actually going to retcon that a little bit because I didn't read the special attack. I didn't read the special attack first.
I know exactly what it's going to do. Yeah.
So it flies up to Topaz and it just envelops Topaz.
Cloaker. Yeah.
Lurker
And-
above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just envelops Topaz and like and then while it's enveloped, like just wails on it, just wails on him. And that was its attack. I need to open door briefly. I need to step away for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Hey, we're back. So this like black manta ray like monster has attacked and is surrounding Topaz, your acrobat. You can hear Topaz's muffled screams coming from within this thing as it hisses angrily. It is now your turn. It's pretty much in melee range now, but if people want to step back and try to shoot it with arrows, that is certainly possible. Jim has stepped away briefly, but so Clintock, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna step back and shoot an arrow because me and melee is not fun.
Go for it.
Oh, let's see here. It's armor class like -1
Okay, that is a hit.
and does 5 points of damage.
5 points of damage.
Now,
Okay.
do I hear Topaz scream more or?
You do hear Topaz scream more. You hear Topaz make an oof when you strike this thing with an arrow. I mean, it's you hit it.
Oh yeah. I'd say, is it even worth keeping track of his hit points at this point?
I was going to say Topaz, however, takes 2 points of damage on that attack.
It's down to 4.
Calf, what are you doing?
I will make a melee attack. -3, and so yeah, 10 damage.
Okay. Topaz, by the way, takes 5 points of damage.
Okay, Topaz is dead. -1 hit point.
Okay.
Or,
Well,
sorry,
Topaz is at 0, and I've got some home rules for that. But if Topaz is going to take more damage at this stage, well, let's engage that. I am going over to. Would someone like to roll a d4 for Topaz? So Topaz is at 0 hit points because there are no negative hit points in this game. 3. Okay, Topaz has suffered a mortal wound. You are at 1 hit point. Until treated, you are at -4 to attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks, -2 to damage rolls. You will die in 3d10 minutes unless treated. If you are brought to 0 hit points again before you are treated, you are dead. So I think this is probably going to be the end of Topaz. So Topaz has taken some damage while enveloped by this monster, and we rolled on the table such that Topaz has suffered a mortal wound. He is still alive, but if he takes another wound while he is in this state, he will be dead. The creature, however, is still alive. Baroon and Zal have yet to act.
I cast a lightning bolt.
Oh, that's right. That was this.
Yeah, I
that
let
was
off.
this round. Oh, that's right. That was this. Oh, that was the. Oh, it's attack. This is a new round.
Okay.
This is a new round. Because you won initiative. You hit it with spells and missile fire. It attacked Topaz.
Oh, and now we're in a new
it's
round.
and
Yeah,
now
sure.
it's
Okay.
now it's round.
Okay.
It's the top of round 2.
Yes. Yeah. This is where I say Topaz, no, and I throw a dagger at the thing.
Okay, make a hit roll.
Well, let's see.
AC is pretty good. It's not impossible, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. It's not enchanted, is it? I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, if you're using your magic dagger.
Yeah, no, it's just an 11.
Yeah.
I think the generic bounces off its rubbery hide description. I think Zal is also hesitant because he's like, if I stab it too hard while it's wrapped around Topaz, will I end up stabbing Topaz? So I kind of pull my punch a little as I toss the dagger at it. So yeah.
And I think Baroon is the last to act.
All right, let's see here.
Do you think Baroon would be doing here?
Magical axe and yeah, trying to
Yeah,
aim.
I was
his
thinking
bottom part.
you'd probably go for the magical axe.
Yeah. Let's see here. Did I? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh,
Oh, that's a hit.
this thing keeps rolling 17s.
Oh, that is a hit.
Is this thing bugged? That's 3 17s.
Yeah, you know. I mean, hey, it's random. It
Yeah.
happens.
It's 6 points of damage.
And if it is bugged that way, then that might be what saves us. So
Okay. So you hit this thing and it hisses. And again, it hisses, but Baroon cuts a pretty nasty gash in this thing as kind of like green ichor. It like drips out of it. Unfortunately, the other thing you hear is a muffled from within, and you no longer hear any noises from Topaz.
No.
It is still alive, but just barely. And I think it is still wrapped around Topaz, so it's going to take an attack against the dead Topaz.
It's gonna chew on him.
Basically start, it's like starting to eat Topaz at this point. But it is going to whip its tail at 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's roll a d4. 2. It's going to whip its. You were Clintock. You were whipping. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Jim or Zal and Clintock were in missile range. So I think that attacked Calf. So let's do an attack roll. Oh, that's a feeble attack that Calf is very easily able to deflect with his shield. It is now round 3. Calf, do you want to bring it home? This thing is like on its last legs, so like one solid hit and it's going to be dead.
okay, I will. Yeah, I'll make a roll. See what I can do. There we go.
So it has 4 hit points remaining.
All right, let's hope it's a hit. So 11. So I don't think that's going to hit because that.
Yeah, that's yeah. You can't get. You just this thing is this thing is just rubbery. It just kind of deflects your blow.
Yeah, I'm imagining it's almost it's like almost a little slimy too. It's like I try to really like get the point of my sword into it. It just kind of slides down. Yeah.
Yep, I love it. So I guess Baroon would probably go because he's right there. I'm sorry. I should have done melee. I should have done missile fire first.
It's all good. I think the Zal might want to throw a dagger at it because Clintock is gonna do something besides shooting it.
Got it. Yes. Yep. This is Zal chucks a dagger. This is a regular dagger. Whoa! It's an 18 for 4 damage.
4 damage. It had 4 hit points. Zal has hit the killing blow. What does that look like, Jim?
Well, if you look at the link that I posted of the in the chat of the classic Errol Otis drawing of this critter, the painting.
Yep.
You will see.
Which is on the back cover of the module.
Which is on the back cover of the module, and I knew that. That's and like it's so. Just to sidetrack for a moment, this sneak attack monster that conceals itself and then drops on you out of nowhere that's supposed to be a huge surprise is what they put on the back of the module. But
you didn't know where it was.
I guess you didn't know which room it was in, whatever. But that is a cool ass picture. But the dagger goes right into one of those eyes. Is what happens, like one of the only vulnerable spots, like it's munching on Clintock. And, just for a second, it kind of like, as it kind of drops Topaz's half digested body, so that it can then jump on one of the other ones. One of those eyes blinks open just for a moment. And Zal's just, that's when he's like, plunk, and it roars and flails around for a second, thrashing, and then, drops to the floor, kind of rides a little bit like like a rug that somebody is shaking out, before it spasms a couple of times and lays still, draped over Topaz, so that just his feet are sticking out from beneath it.
Nice. I love it. But alas, this is the death of Topaz. And at the conclusion of this fight, we see, the camera lingers on, this thing draped over Topaz, and we see, and pretty much all we see are like Topaz's boots sticking out from under it, because this was a TV show. They didn't want to be too gruesome. And given time, I think we're going to end this session here.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Going to end it on a dramatic note.
Topaz.
No, Topaz.
No, Paz.
Oh.
Maybe not. It's something like that. I don't know. Anyways.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. And tune in next time when we will bring you part 7 of this continuing saga. Thanks, folks.
Good night.